Right, well, a big warm welcome to everybody. We've got an amazing audience response for this, and there's no, you can understand why. This is our second webinar that we've run now, and we've really gone to the boundaries for this one. And that part's a show jumping bar. We've got Olympic gold champions here tonight to show you. We're going to really find out what that road to Rio is. So a big thank you to Gary Widdowson, the owner of Big Star, Nick Skelton, obviously the double gold medal winning stallion. And we've got the boy himself here live that you're going to see a little bit later. So, and also going to talk a little bit about Arco as well and his part to play as well in all this. So we're going to play a little bit of an intro. I hope you enjoy tonight, and then we're going to talk a little about the proceedings later. So I'll see you in just 1 minute. Right.
That's when the guy paid 90 grand.
Is that finished? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we back on?
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed that little bit of an intro for what's happening tonight, and I hope you got a beer or a glass of wine, in the case maybe Gary, and to sit back and enjoy this. I promise you, we're not going to go on for the 2.5 hours that we did last time. I think. Yeah, our relationship might be finished if I did that. So, but how it's going to proceed, you can ask some questions. I think, it'd be great to, it's a good chance to ask any questions. We've got quite a few already, I have to say. So, and you can see the main man himself here as well, who made this all happen. And obviously he's a big part of the team. And to get the gold, it takes three, it really took the three people. It took an amazing rider. Obviously the owner to have the foresight to buying this, and obviously this chap here, Big Star, and it's been a great honour to have him. The other things what we're going to do also is with these webinars, we're going to try and run every Thursday, and so next week we're actually going to run one. We've actually got Billy Toomey, the Olympic Irish rider. He's going to be live talking about what he does as well. We've got the Italian that he rode many years ago, so we're going to absolutely come up close and personal with these stallions. We're going to have them out in the outdoor school, lead them around. And his other horses he's going to talk about is Chatbot, which is the other one he's riding at the moment. Obviously, Widdowson's no longer with us, but he's going to talk about Widdowson. Ashdale Legend, who I think is by Widdowson. Yeah, we're going to see him ridden next week and jumped as well, owned by Dave Quick. Win-Win, owned by Dom and Rupert Webb. Magic Quality, owned by the Hales, Lisa Hales. We'll see him next week. Obviously, we'll see Big Star as well. So we're going to be so much up close and personal. A week later after that, we've actually got Oliver Townsend. We all know him, sort of the king of eventing, alongside with Nina Barber. Well, Nina Barber, who owns Bolesworth Estates, runs one of the biggest horse shows, international horse shows in the country. So she's going to be talking with Oliver Townsend in 2 weeks' time. So please tune into that. We've done, each night we've done this, we try to raise a bit of money for charity. And this time we're raising, it's for the Horse Trust again. The Horse Trust looks after rescue horses and ponies and donkeys. And they rely on charity money. So it's a really worthwhile cause. So at the end of this, you'll get an email. So please, this is a free webinar. So please, if you can donate, that would be fantastic. This really wouldn't be able to put on without the British Breeding and their group and what they've done behind the scenes. Rachel, Jane and Eva, they put all this on and they do it, again, all free of charge. And it costs quite a lot of money to put on with this. So really hats off to you. But we get sponsors in to actually pay for this. And Spillers have really stepped forward and actually sponsored this tonight. So we've got a big, big thank you to them, Spillers, for putting this on. And we've got a very short clip. They're sponsors tonight. I'll show you that now.
It takes a lot of dedication to keep your horse in the best condition. And Spillers have been helping with this longer than anyone. With all this experience and our extensive range of tried and trusted feeds, depend on us to help you keep your horse happy and healthy. Spillers, your partners in care.
Yes, we do at the end of the day. Okay, yeah. Right, okay, looks like I'm back on track. Well, again, a big thank you to you both for coming tonight. And it looks like we've got a huge amount of people watching. And we've had lots of questions coming in as well, a lot of questions. But I think to start with, really, Gary, Nick, how are you? And how are you getting on with, under the current situation, the current pandemic, that we've all been put under? How are you coping and what have you been up to?
Well, we've been fine, really. I mean, we haven't really stopped working. We've got a lot of work done around the farms, and all the horses have been, kept up to scratch and working every day, jumping, and really, I've actually quite enjoyed it because it's, we've spent some time at home, and we're not chasing around the world to airports and horse shows. Yeah.
So to start doing a bit of farming work, I must admit, I've enjoyed that side as well, doing a little bit more of the lab and stuff rather than being around. And Gary, because I know quite often you're sailing at this time of year, aren't you?
Yeah, well, there's none of that going on anywhere, but no, we've enjoyed it at home. I must say, we've been very lucky in Norfolk where I live. The weather's been great, and we haven't had too much of a problem with the terrible virus. So life's been pretty good so far. So lots of time to catch up rather than chasing around doing things that perhaps weren't quite as important as we thought they were.
Yeah, and I've quite interested, actually, Nick, I've been listening to a bit of your autobiography, and obviously, Gary, you said it, so I've learned a little bit more about them than I knew a while ago. And Gross, you go back a long, long way, don't you? This isn't just a relationship that started just before the Olympics. I mean, this is 40 odd years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's longer than a lot of marriages, isn't it?
Yes.
I just want it noted that he is older than me by a few months.
Only just.
So yeah. So when did you first meet?
Well, I think around about 1973. I think it was.
I think it might have been a bit early. Hicks did, I would think, when we were on the ponies, but although that was just chance meetings and such. But that's when we first were probably in each other's company. But then the young riders teams of the early 70s was, and then we both were on a team in Dublin.
And I think that was 1973 in Dublin. Went to Dublin Spring Show.
Because a lot of people wouldn't realise, Gary, you jumped a lot yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I was very good when I was young, not now. I think I used to beat him when we were young, but then he quickly overtook me.
Yeah. Yeah, done so bad, though, really.
I was going to say, because obviously you obviously went into separate businesses. One went into recycling, and obviously one went into show jumping. Obviously, it's success on both ends, wasn't it? But you know, we're obviously tonight talking about the Big Star story as well, and you know, you bought him in 2008. How did you find him?
Well, that year was the year of Beijing Olympics, and Laura was on the American team, and they had to go to Holland to a place to train before the Olympics. And she went, I think, on the Saturday. They were training on the Sunday, and there was a show on. And she drove up to the ringside, and there was this horse jumping in the ring. And she jumped out of the car and thought, "Wow, this horse looks amazing." And went running around to the, where the entrance of the ring was, to see who it was when they came out to, see if the horse was for sale. And when she got around there, the guy that rode him was a guy called Alan Holden, and he was actually an American guy from California, and he lives in Holland. And she said, "Is a horse for sale?" And he said, "Yeah, but I want it to go to a good rider, and he's expensive." So anyway, she said, "Well, how much is it expensive?" And he told her, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's too expensive for me, but Nick has an owner that would probably buy the horse for him." So she called me and said, "Listen, you've got to come and see this horse." And I think it was the following week, we flew to Germany. I mean, the actual story was Gary wanted to buy a couple of horses, or one horse for me to go straight back in the ring with, a Grand Prix horse. So we went to the north of Germany to look, and what I thought we were buying was one horse for me, but it ended up we were there for the day, and I think from the guy we were there, Jürgen Neighbor in Germany, we bought 6 horses.
Something like that.
He bought 6. So I thought, we're only going to buy one, but we've now got 6. So then we jumped on the plane and then went.
But there's a bit missing there. Laura kept on saying, "You've got to come to Holland from here to see this other horse." And I'm thinking, I've spent more money than I meant to spend already. But she kept on and on. We've got to Holland. And we had a private plane, so we were able to fly down there. And that's how we came. But I really could have done without going to look at another horse. So that's the quirk that comes into it, really. Yeah. So then we fly down. When we get there, it's quite late in the day, and we go into Alan's stables, and there's this shaggy-maned stallion, quite handsome, but nevertheless, he was shaggy-maned, and out he came, neighing to these mares in the field next door as he's going off to the jumping arena. And Nick rides him, and obviously he'd ridden Quick Star before, so he knew the breeding as such. So Nick was jumping him backwards, forwards. My father and Laura and myself were all there watching, and we were gobsmacked by how good he was. Nick was jumping fences that perhaps he would never have jumped on a 5-year-old normally, but he was a very, very expensive horse at the time. So at the end of trying him, we think he's terrific. And I remember saying to Nick, "So what do you think then?" He went, "Well, I can't fault him, but he's very expensive. And, do we really want to spend that much on a young horse now, where we perhaps could be paying this much for one that's ready to go straight into the big stuff?" To which Laura's reply was, "Gary, I'm telling you, this is a stallion shutterfly. And I'm telling you, that's the best I've seen." And then about 20 minutes later, we negotiated, and Big Star was on his way back to England. So that was how it came around. Good job they didn't listen to me.
Well, we've got a lovely video clip now we can play, and I was watching this. I've never seen it before, but if you can put that on, Rachel, it just shows you. I mean, talk about talent spotting. He's a 6-year-old, and this is you first riding him. And then your commentary after it, saying that this could be one of the best horses.
This week, Flashback Friday takes us to 2009 and Nick Skelton with a very special 6-year-old.
We bought him last year in Holland. He's a stallion by Quick Star, which is very good breeding, and a Nimador mother. And I think, possibly with a bit of luck, he'll go right to the very top. I know it's a big statement, but this could probably be the best horse I think I've ever had. But I've said that before, and I was right about Arco, but this one, he could be as good.
Well, Nick certainly with a huge belief in this horse, Big Star. And Nick, of course, as you referred to Arco that retired last year, a horse that won well over £1 million in its career. And if Nick has got this one eyed for the top, this could be very special indeed. Stable jockey Lance Whitehouse has jumped this a number of times during the season, bringing this on as well. And it's certainly quick across the ground. Nick pushing on a little as he needs to. 45.16 the time to beat. Certainly doesn't look like touching a fence. Has the British number one got a new superstar? Tremendous round from Nick.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, that says all. You mentioned a little bit about Arco just in that video, so it's only just going to quickly touch on, obviously, have a chat about him, because he was very much instrumental, Nick, many years ago, obviously before Big Star, with the Athens Olympics. I remember, when that was happening, and he was it right? He was one of the horses that's after. Was he after your injury? I think. Did you get that going again? Was it?
Yeah, Arco. I mean, he was the actual horse that started me back riding again after the accident, because when I had my accident, they said I shouldn't ride again, but I knew I had that horse, as a young horse in the stable, and I knew how good he was, and really that's why I started riding again, because I knew he was good and could take me to the places where he did take me. And then obviously after Arco, I thought, well, that when he's done, I'll be done. And then I met Gary again, which is another long story, and then Big Star came along. So it all, I was very lucky that it all, followed on from one horse to the other horse. But I was very lucky to have those two great horses.
Yeah. Thomas, we actually met in Cannes. Nick and Laura came on our boat for the day, and that was just around the time that London, a month before London had been announced as the venue for the next Olympics. And Nick and I were sitting there talking, saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could have a horse that won a medal in London? And that's where it all started from. My wife Beverly and I decided that we'd like to try and do something. We're from London and we're British. And Nick said, well, the only way I've ever rated my horses is the ones I've made myself. That you build a relationship. And we decided to go and try and find a horse. We put the word out, or Laura did mainly, that if you think you've got the best 4 or 5 year old and you're ready to sell it, we'd be interested to potentially buy it. And we ended up buying probably 8 or 10 horses along that way. And out of those, Carlo and Big Star were 2 of them. And that's how it all came around. London Olympics, John and Lisa Howes deciding that Arco was going to retire. Nick needed another horse to go forwards. We'd been friends for so long. And that's how the whole story happened. It was all fortuitous fate at the right times.
Yeah, I feel great honour. We've had Arco here and obviously Big Star. Arco, I must admit, he came to us, I think it was a 7-year-old. He has got the most beautiful head of any horse I've seen. He's got this great presence.
Yeah, well, Arco, you can see Arco's progeny from a mile away. Everyone has that head, He was such a good looking horse, and we have horses now by Arco, and they all got the same head. He stamps them.
We just got one question. Well, we've got lots of questions, but I appreciate it. I don't want to keep you all night, but one from Daniel Bridges. At what age did you know that Big Star was going to make it all the way and make an Olympic horse? And if there was any fault at all, what would it be?
I think the day we got him, really, the day we tried him, he was so good, and the way he did everything, his brain, his mentality, his scope, his rideability, his speed, his carefulness. That horse was, you'd give him 11 out of 10. Yeah, I don't know another horse that you would, you could do that to. He was, he had everything.
Yeah. And you got another question, Faye. Do you want to read it out? I don't know what I've censored these. I don't know what Faye's going to ask now. So go on, bring it on.
Could be anything. We've had a question from Nicola Dyson. She said she was predominantly dressage, but she's always remembered before she started breeding a fair few years ago, watching show jumping on TV and seeing you jumping around a huge course on a lovely bay stallion. She said you came extremely close to a huge double-decker London bus and literally jumped it from a stride off a turn. She'll never forget it, and she's been a fan of yours and Arco's ever since. What was the biggest, scariest jump you remember jumping? And also, what was different about riding Arco to Big Star?
Well, I think the biggest jump I ever jumped was in Olympia in 1978 when I did the high jump. That was 7'7" and little bits, whatever it was. So that was the biggest fence. And the difference between, they were completely different horses at Big Star and Arco. Arco was probably, took me a little bit more time to get with him. He didn't have the best mouth in the world, control-wise. But in the end, he was, he dumped me on the floor a few times with Arco. But once we, afterwards we got experience with each other and he got older, he was he was push button to ride also. I mean, he won some great Grand Prix in Calgary and Lucerne and those shows. He was a really solid, great horse.
Yeah. And Gary, I mean, I've got another question. Tell us about what is it like owning such a talented horse?
Well, to be honest, we were very lucky because at the same time we had Carlo, which Carlo was always intended to be our London Olympic horse. So we were very lucky because Big Star was there for Rio and Carlo was going to go to London. So I remember Nick telling me on many occasions, Gary, most people don't get one horse and you've got two, which was amazing to say, without a doubt. Yeah, but Carlo was the one. We were in Madrid. Nick won the bronze medal in Madrid. I think it was 2011, and next year was London Olympics. The following day was the Queen's Cup which is their equivalent of our King's Cup in England, in Madrid, and Big Star came second that day when he was only 8. And that evening we were talking, and I was talking about Carlo being ready for London, and Nick suddenly said, well, I know he's only going to be 9, but I've got this feeling that Big Star's got everything to go to the Olympics. So that's the first time that we suddenly thought he was going. It might be Big Star and not Carlo. And then the thrill owning him was amazing. I mean, we got offered crazy amounts of money for him, but I'd made the statement that
You're on telly here, Laura. Laura, you're on telly here.
Yeah, so that was, you know, I always would look at him and see, he looks like a horse that I feel like if you took the saddle off and just let him loose, he just would go and jump these fences anyway. I know when, you know, we've done a few stallion parades, I've always been a bit nervous because I obviously didn't want people to go and jump the fence. But as soon as someone rides him, and as soon as he sees a show jump, he just lights up straight away. He like locks onto them. That must be just the most amazing feeling. I know I'm not a show jumper, but and obviously you get this feeling from other horses, but for him in particular, he feels like he's just like he just locks onto these jumps and absolutely loves it, doesn't he, Nick?
Well, I never had a horse who was more enthusiastic than him to jump. I mean, he actually loved jumping. You know, he'd be very placid at home and quiet, but when he got in the ring, you know, he really livened up, and I think he actually, you know, really liked to jump. And like you say, yeah, if you aimed him, wherever you aimed him, he was always trying to jump it. But when you got him in those big rings like Arco, you know, Hickstead, Dublin, and Hamburg, I mean, he took a bit of catching because he got such a huge stride that once you let him down, you know, his stride was probably 2 foot longer than any of the horses, and you know, you could eat ground up.
Yeah, and I think you said that, Gary, when you were talking about strides. You wrote a quote before saying that. I think it was at Arco, wasn't it? He went up to Nick and he was trying to say, is it 4 strides or 6 strides? And you turned around.
Yeah, well, there was, we were at Arco and Nick was early to go, so he'd walked the course and was back out. I think he might have even been first to go. And I was walking the course and I heard all the riders, and obviously the top riders in the world, all having this great debate on this line, you know, whether they should go 5 or 6 and then 4 short ones or whatever afterwards, but a serious debate as if it might have been wrong. So I ran outside and said, Nick, you know, they're all got a problem. Should they go 5? Should they go 6? And they're calling the course builder to discuss it. And Nick's answer was, well, it makes no difference to me. I can go on 5, 6, 7 or 3 or 4 because, you know, when I land, I can decide when I land, and I think that was the day I realised how special he thought he was, that he actually could, and we'd be watching that, and then Laura was always watching with us, and she'd always say, oh, don't worry, because Big Star can do, Nick and Big Star can do whatever they want down the line. They can shorten, lengthen, and I think that was the first time I realised that he was just that little bit special compared to anything else that I've been lucky enough to.
We just had one come in. It says, Gary, have you ever ridden or been tempted to ride Big Star?
No, Nick's never allowed me to ride him. I've always vowed that I will ride him and I will jump him. But every time he seems to be with you at stud, that I'm here today, and once again, I would have done that today, but you've got him, Tallis.
You've got to get in the gym a bit and get some weight off.
Yeah. And I think it's a similar question. You've already answered it. I'd be interested to know what quality or characteristics, this is from Jill, characteristic sets Big Star apart from other jumpers, and when did this first become evident? But I think this was right early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he had a great character, temperament. I mean, when he was in the box, you know, he was like a 12-2 pony. I mean, we were in London to the Global Champions Tour one year, and he was lying down in the box. And Gary's grandson, he was only 4 at the time, and he walked in the stable and sat on him, you know, right, and the horse never moved. He just looked at him, and he, you know, he's such a gentle giant, really. Yet once you got him in the ring and you got the tack on, like he was, you know, he was away.
And I was very fortunate to be at the London Olympics and see the team gold, and it was one of those, you know, if you're going to win gold anyway, you want to do on home territory, obviously, and it's to have that and to go into that amphitheatre at home must be something quite special. Yeah,
I think like London was really, I think, you know, special to win there, and I think I never really doubted that we wouldn't win a medal in London. I mean, we had a lot of doubters, but I thought, you know, we had some really, obviously, very, very good riders and 4 very, very good horses. And with it being on the home soil, I thought that played an advantage to us, really.
Yeah.
And I think it did. I mean, the crowds were amazing there, and they really got behind us, and that definitely gave us an advantage.
I know I got the worst bout of sunburn on that day ever because I was on no stands with no sun cream. It was the hottest day ever. So.
I'm not surprised with them shorts you're wearing. With them knees up.
Yeah, I need a lot of suntan lotion on this head. But yeah, you won the team gold there. There's what happened in the evening there? I hear there's the celebrations. Gary said, you know, I think, or Gary better tell me about this one. I think you had a bit.
Oh, no, actually, because it was right outside the showground. There was a road there, and there was a pub on the corner. They renamed it. What was it called?
It was called the Greenwich Arms.
The Greenwich Arms. And anyway, we obviously when we came out, all the fans, the whole street was.
We were
packed.
supposed to go to a team dinner, though,
yeah, and the whole place was packed, and so we just aimed for the first watering hole we could find, and that pub was it. And I remember Will Connell, who was our team sort of manager, chef de mission. He said, "Whatever you do, don't let them lads in that pub, because we've got a team dinner, and we have to go to the BBC studios." So nonetheless, we got
Olympians can't be seen to drink.
We got in the pub, and that was it. So he said, "Come on, you've got to get out of there." So I rang Claire Baldwin, and I said, "Listen, we're in the pub. You would make a really good program if you brought your TV cameras down to the pub and did it there." And so they did. And we had a room upstairs, and they did the interview in the room upstairs. It was really very, very good. Good fun.
You've obviously been to a lot of Olympics. I've heard all about, I've been listening to your book and some of the things you got up to with Jeff Billington about, I think you were putting toothpaste in his suntan lotion bottle and the time that you stole a bus once, didn't you?
Yeah, well, when you go to the games like that and you're there, like when we were in Seoul or Atlanta for 3 weeks running, I mean, you live with those guys in the same flat for 3 weeks. And, you've got to pass some time of day. And we used to take the mickey out of Jeff and do all sorts of things to him. We'd put shoe cream in his toothpaste and, we'd do all sorts of things with him. We'd socks together. He was the one we picked on, Jeff, actually. He was quite good.
He'd do it to everyone else, though, make no mistake.
Yeah. You share that out, yeah. And obviously after that, Gary, I think you've already alluded to it. You had one man, everybody offering you sort of big sums of money really to have the horse. But I think you said before, you wanted to keep him in the UK and keep him going, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, the London Olympics was amazing. I mean, he jumped all those clear rounds, and on the last day, he had one fence down in the second round at the individual. So there was unfinished business, if you understand me. And after that, as Nick came out, we were so disappointed. And he said, "Don't worry, he's only 9 and Rio's in 4 years." Of course, you say that in jest, don't you, or in hope or whatever. But that's exactly how it was at the end of the day. We were going to, in the following year, in 2013, the horse was phenomenal. I mean, he had both of them, but Nick could hardly walk with his injuries that he had. But to win Rome, Arco, I think he was second in Le Ball. The horse was just phenomenal that year, and that was the road that we'd gone on. But then all of that suddenly came to an end in Dublin. He'd won Arco, and the next step was going to be to go to Calgary for the second leg of the Grand Slam. But we wanted to jump in Dublin because that was the Nations Cup, and if I remember rightly, we desperately needed points, didn't we, Nick, to stay in the Super League. Big Star had his first fence down in the Nations Cup. He jumped 11 consecutive double clears, which I don't think any other horse has ever done. But he had his first fence down in the first round. But when he came out, Nick's words were, "He just doesn't feel quite right, But I said, "No, he didn't. He had a bloody fence down." So, but with that, we had him checked over, and they decided that the vet was there, checked and whatever, and we decided to jump the second round. Once again, I think we needed to jump for the team, and he jumped clear again, which was amazing. But the next morning, Nick said, "Look, I've got to say, he's got a puffy leg," and that was the end of that leg of his career, really, because we 9 months later we tried him again after doing all of the work that vets had suggested. He was fantastic. I think he took him to Estoril, was it, Nick, for the global tour? Unbelievable. I was at home watching on TV, so proud. He's clear, he's in the jump off. I think it was Ben on Seller, Scott on Sanctos, and Nick on Big Star. Nick has the last fence down, but I think he was quicker, but he had the last fence. Fantastic. We came second or third there. But later that night, Nick said his leg's puffy again, you know. So we were back to square one. So it was euphoria, and then we had to go through the period of where do we go? Do we carry on? Don't we carry on? We had never had any doubt we wanted to. There was this goal of Rio that was always there. But a lot of people might have said, let's call it a day, I have to say, during that period. But it was an amazing period because we were all so down, weren't we, Nick? You know, we all you know, you say Nick's back. I mean, it was all a period, but we never doubted that we could do it. Am I right?
I think the only reason like that you could do with that horse was he didn't need a lot of jumping to get him to where he had to be. You know, you could do a lot of the main work at home. You know, he didn't have to. A lot of horses you need 3 or 4 weeks before, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. They need to keep jumping to keep them in the ring. That horse you didn't. You could do everything from home, and I think when he got to Rio, I think that was the 11th round he jumped all year, and he'd never gone one time against the clock ever. And a lot of the jump offs, I didn't jump him off. I took him to shows
Nick,
in Belgium.
Before that, when you were in Florida, you took him there in Florida.
I never jumped him.
And you never jumped him.
I never
you
jumped him.
thought the ground was too hard and whatever. Nick would send me videos of him jumping at BZ Madden's, Eric Lamazzi's, in all of their.
I went around all their farms every week and jumped him on really good ground, and you know, just trained him basically there. And then when I did go to the shows, I mean, I did say to the, you know, the BSJ or whatever, I said one thing, that horse will go to the Olympics, and if he doesn't look like, if I don't think he's ready to go and safe to go for him to go, he will not go. But every time I came back from a show, wherever I'd been, Monday morning I'd have the vet there checking him out to see if he was lame or he's sound. And I said, I don't need him to come. I know when that horse is right, and I will not send him if he's not right.
There was a lot of people who doubted, didn't they? Doubted and said, oh, you know, he shouldn't be on the long list to go to the Olympics, and you know, that they've been hiding him in Florida because he's lame and whatever. You know, that was totally untrue. Fortunately, I was sending the videos to Di Lampard showing him jump each time when he was out there. So there was never any doubt in our mind, and he was never ever going to go there if he wasn't fit. But a lot of people had a lot of doubts, and then he went to the ball, hadn't jumped for 3 years, and you know, competitively really, other than very small shows, jumps double clear, and all the riders clambered around the ring just to watch Nick and Big Star back in the ring.
Well, we got.
So that was the road. It was a interesting road.
Was that Faye?
Yep, a little question for you as well.
And then we got a video after this of the Rolex Grand Prix Arco in 2013. But what's the question?
So we've got lots of them coming in. Somebody's asked, Nick, after being injured, how do you find the confidence to keep going at those levels?
Well, I think when you've done it all your life and competitive, I'm a very competitive person, and you know, all I saw at the end of that tunnel was that horse and Arco the first time. I knew that they were good enough and that they would carry you to where you wanted to go. And the same with Big Star. I mean, I was lucky enough to, you know, to get him, and him that I knew in my mind that he would go to the games and he could win it. And so, you know, that gives you the confidence with those horses like him to, you know, to take you there.
And one other little question. Do you have a ritual that you follow before entering the ring, like a good luck ritual, or do you just have lucky pants?
Or you don't wear any? I don't know.
I'd be like Tullis to wear a short one. No, not really. I mean, if I was like at the Olympics or whatever, I'd go and walk the course, work it out in my own head, go away, go and find a quiet spot, probably in the toilet, sit down, go through the whole thing in my mind, what I was going to do, and then that would be it. I'd go out. I'd watch a couple. I wouldn't be a person that would sit there through the whole class watching rider after rider after rider, changing your mind so many times. I'd make my mind up what I was going to do and then go and do it. And I probably wouldn't, I'd get bored sitting and watching, so I'd go off and do something else, have a sleep. I could sleep within 5 minutes and wake up within 5 minutes and get on and go and ride. That was probably me my best thing. And I would, Laura, you say, God, he can fall asleep in 2 minutes.
You've done it at the Olympics.
And get up and ride. And that's what I can do. I just go and have a sleep and then I'll be fine.
Well, we're going to see one of those rounds now. Rachel, if you can play the next one now, which is the Rolex one, Arco, I think, to the 2013. And we can see one of these rounds, which is on the road to Rio.
The man from Britain, it's Nick Skelton with Beverly Widdowson's Big Star. There they all are, lined up. Gary and Bev and Nick, all the connections. Big Star goes away to the second. Puts a short one in. He wanted him to turn inside the water, and he does.
Oh well, the doubters know now then.
Now, what will Nick do? Is he really pacing on? It's a big striding stallion, this Big Star, but he's got to set him up for the double. He's saying, let me at it. And he does. Now, crucial turn. Right round. Big Star fighting a little bit. 2 strides he got to that one. Is he going to stay clear? Oh yes, for Great Britain, Nick is home, 56.41. Faultless, three clears. And a fabulous jump off course for Nick Skelton and Big Star. Is that going to be enough? We will have to see. Look at this over the DHL. Jumping against the clock, and he gives it miles.
Yes.
You just have to be in awe of this horse and rider. Nick has recovered from life-threatening injuries, which could well have left him paralysed. Is back on form with Big Star. The crowd know it, and we know it. Look at the celebrations. Nick was watching in the channel there, watching every move with Big Star. And Big Star, oh, he knows he's done it. Nick celebrating to anyone and everyone that can see him.
He's certainly amazing. And this is obviously building up now. And this is, this is when you did the Grand Slam, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And that was the next one was Calgary, and that's when he got his injury in Dublin before. So we didn't end up going to Calgary. He never actually got there.
Yeah.
So that Grand Slam went out the window that year.
And obviously leading up to this, I mean, what happened to the Aston Martin, Gary? I mean,
yeah. I'll tell you what happened to the Aston Martin, shall I?
There's two sides to the story.
We're going to London, and he said, "Well, what's your favourite car?" I said, "Aston Martin DB9." Right, he said, "You win a gold medal." He said, I'll buy an Aston Martin. I said, right, off we went. So we get there, we win the team. I said, right, what colour are we having? He said, no. It's got to be an individual. Oh, Christ, that's good. So anyway, I thought, have another go on Sunday, whenever it was. Misfired, that went, all forgotten, gone out the window. Get to Rio. win the gold medal, sitting in the airport, coming home, just get on the plane. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "Hey, what colour am I having this Aston Martin?" He said, "No, that was London." He said, "Nothing to do with Rio." And you know what? I was up at his house last week, and he showed me around his cars, and there's one in the garage, and he's got some Ferraris and all this, and they've all got rugs on, and this one of mine has got no rug on at all. And I said, "Typical, my one's got no rug on." But I still haven't got it yet, but I'm sure it's coming. He's just waiting for me to get a bit older.
I must admit, it's my dream car too. So, yeah. And what was something about
two sides to that story, you know. If he'd have got the Aston Martin, then surely Ben, Peter, and Scott needed to have a wheel each as well, which obviously can't be true.
But obviously, I mean, coming on to Rio now, and it was, you know, that just must have been something just quite incredible going into that round. I mean, it's one of those experiences in life, and I'm not just trying to put it up. We all know where we were, you know, when something bad happens and when something good happens, and we, you know, I know exactly where I was. I was sitting next to my mother. She wasn't, you know, very well, and I remember watching that round that you did. And I think it's, you speak to anybody in the UK, it's a question. We know where we were at that time watching that round, and it was. But going into that ring, for that jump off, you were the first one to go in there. What's the what actually goes through your head? Do you just treat it as like a right, this is just back to the office, or is it you just treat it in a different way? How do you cope with that pressure?
Well, just at the end of the day, it's another class, and Big Star doesn't know, you know, if he's jumping for a gold medal, the Arco Grand Prix, or for a rosette in the local gymkhana. To be really honest, you know, he loves to go and do his job, and then, you know, I have to obviously ride him to the best of my ability that I can. And I knew that when I went in, I knew one thing he wouldn't do, he wouldn't let me down. You know, he gave everything. I actually preferred going first, although I thought there was really too many in the jump off. 6 was a bit too many. And then halfway through, they weren't, you know, they were having fences down. Obviously, when you go first, you have to be clear. That's for certain. And I thought, well, I have to jump clear, but be as fast as I could. But one thing with Big Star, he always looked a lot faster than he was, because he had a lot of action. His legs were going everywhere, and he looked really fast. I mean, yeah, he was fast, but obviously Eric beat me on time, but he had to jump clear. And I think when you get into that high pressure situations and you are clear, the other riders know that they have to go clear as well to beat you. And for me, I think that was the best position for me to go.
When the jump off was on there, obviously Nick was riding around, not really watching too much, and Laura and I were watching. I kept saying, "Oh, okay, we're 5th, we're 4th." Then finally I said, "Yes, you know, we've got a bronze." And Nick's answer was, "I don't want a rusty one." And I said, "Well, I'll have the rusty one then. At least we've got a medal." And then the silver came up, and I went, "Oh, perhaps, you know, we got a silver." And then it was the gold, and then but what I remember most was Nick straight afterwards. He said to me, "I could have told you we'd win that." And I went, "Well, I wish you'd told me then, you know, beforehand." And he said, "I've ridden Big Star in my mind every round I've ever jumped in any Olympics. In my mind, I've ridden Big Star and imagined what I would do and what I wouldn't do, everything I've ever done before." So he said, "I was so prepared today for that." So that wasn't being big-headed at all. It was just a fact of him saying that how he mentally prepared himself to try and win that medal. So that's when I was even already a little bit more.
Which he told us he was going to win it as well, because it was an awful lot of stress and nail bitings, I must admit. But I think
no doubt about that at all.
Yeah. Oh, we got another question. Go on.
Who do you guys fancy in terms of GB horses and riders for next year's Olympics?
Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, thanks. Obviously, obviously the standout horse for Britain is Ben and Explosion. Really, I mean, he had a great year last year. Probably this year, with being no shows, probably will have done him good. He'll had a really good rest because he's only a young horse. So that probably, I think, would have worked in his favour. And then, really, I mean, there's a few of the Scott. I mean, a little bit thin on the ground, but we've got another year, which has been helpful. If it all happens, we're not guaranteed for it happening yet, but if it all happens, it's probably helped us having another year, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's horrible as the situation we've been in, and not casting any aspersions on that, is, Big Star's one more year. He'd be one of the longest reigning Olympic horses, I suppose. Because obviously he's had that extra year, which is for us to have an Olympic champion in our barn is fantastic. And obviously we wouldn't want it to. We wish the Olympics had gone on, but they haven't. But to have it one more year is great to have that as well under his belt. Have you got your gold medals there, Nick, to hand, or are they?
No, back. Hang on. We're gonna go and get them.
And just while we get in, Nick, just sort of question from my side: you've ridden a few stallions? Do you prefer stallions, geldings, mare, or it doesn't really make much difference to you? Do you get more out of an entire horse, or to you it's just really about the individual horse, no matter what?
To be honest, stallions for me, their temperament needs to be good.
Yeah.
And I think the best stallions that are jumping today normally are good temperaments. You see, like Chaka Bleu has been a really good stallion. He was a very good temperament. Big Stars, great temperament. Arco, Rolls horse. What do you call him?
Yeah.
Benson, Rolf Benson's horse, brilliant temperament. I think they have to be good temperament. Personally, if I had a stallion that wasn't a good temperament, I don't think I would keep him as a stallion.
Yeah.
Because they can be a pain, pain to deal with.
And you say you got the gold medals there?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Obviously, it's not just one, but two. So you polishing your silverware must take
took me a long time to get these.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It's great to obviously see.
I'm gonna hang this one in me Aston Martin when I get
it. The dust gathered on it by then. Well, I don't know. So, we had the Rio, and we had the just the most amazing experience then, and it's sort of moved on. And shortly, I think you basically, well, not basically, but you said if you did it, you were going to both retire at the same time. And I remember I was a while ago saying that. So, and we've got the video, and I haven't seen this before until yesterday, and we've got the actual retirement video from Royal Windsor. So Rachel, if you can you play that one, please?
Delighted to see so many of Nick's colleagues and friends from all around the world in show jumping, from the FEI, from the ground jury, from the course designers, from the international shows that have represented Great Britain so very well indeed. So the moment has come. When this man rang me a month ago, I had to stop the car because I was, I couldn't speak. So Nick, it's time. Are you going to stop off him or are you going to stay on him? Every single time. When you came back from your broken neck when you took Arco to Athens, that to me was the most amazing achievement. It really, really was. For you then to go on to win team gold in London and individual gold in Rio says to us all here at Royal Windsor that you are the greatest show jumper that the world has ever seen.
I've been very, very lucky over my life. I've had some wonderful horses. And, you know, without the great owners I've had, sponsors, staff, everybody's really, you know, contributed towards my career. And even the lads that I compete against, they kept me on my toes all my life. And I'm very grateful to them. And, you know, I'm very, very proud to what I've done. And, you know, I've represented my country over 180 times. And I've been very proud of every moment. And I'd do it all again if I could.
Put up a note. She was there. She said she was crying and everything at that last moment. Teresa, have you got a question, Faye? Or?
Yeah, I've got. Oh, they're all flooding in. Yeah. One actually. Have you ridden any of Big Star's offspring yet, Nick?
Actually, no, I haven't. But, we do have one really nice 5-year-old, which Gary bred. And we have her here at the farm, and she actually looks like being a really good jumper. But I haven't ridden her yet, or probably never will, unless she gets really good.
And we can't really. Before that, I saw Mark in the video there, Mark Beaver, and I've obviously met him a few times. He seems to be one of the nicest people on this planet. But he's worked with you for, is it 30 years or a long time, isn't he?
Yeah, about 34 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a really top person to have working for you. We know we went around all the world together for so many years, and never had a cross word. And you just left him to do it. You didn't have to tell him to do anything. You knew exactly what to do. He knew what fences to build in the warm up. I just look at him and nod, and then he knew what to do. And yeah, we had a great relationship. And he still works here.
He was here today at our little practice show at home.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he still works for us, but he's been isolated up because he has, he's diabetic, so we try to keep him locked away for all this period of time. And he did actually venture out today.
Yeah.
But he'll be back to work, hopefully.
And we've got another question, Faye?
Yeah, someone actually said, are there any similarities between Quick Star and Big Star? And could you take your experience with Quick Star to use on Big Star at all?
Yeah, there's a lot, very much so. Quick Star actually was quite a small horse. In fact, he was very small. Cheers. We saw that. A sneaky little drink, wasn't it, Tony? Yeah, we're sitting here gagging for a drink, and there you. Where were we? Oh yes, Quick Star was a very small horse, but very much the same action as Big Star. And for a small horse, Quick Star, he had a very big stride. And I rode him towards the end of his career, and he was very similar to Big Star. Was very similar to Quick Star.
Right, and at the end of this, obviously, oh, not another one, Fabi.
Yeah, it's
what I was going to just say is, obviously, he retired, and Gary really, you know, obviously, we've got a big thank you from our side to say, but you know, I know you had huge offers when he retired, all over the world, 7-figure sums to have the horse standing in France or Germany or wherever it was. What made you pick the UK?
Well, Tallis, I don't really want to just let everyone think I'm trying to big you up with your business and whatever, but we had all these offers that he could go to Holland and Germany and France, and all these incredible amounts of money. But Nick and I were adamant that we weren't going to let him become a sperm bank and just be abused to take semen from him. And then when we first met yourself and we talked about what our plans was and whatever, we liked what you said, and also we got a bit of a kick out the fact that he was going to go to a British stud as such, a standard stud, where we felt that we were seen in the UK as a bit of being behind the 8 ball as far as the rest of Europe were concerned. And we enjoyed the fact that he went with you. We trusted you. You've been superb with him and with us. To the point you ride him every day now, more than Nick rides him. So that was the reason. It was to be sure that he was at the right place to stand at stud, and we were very happy to be back in British semen collection base as opposed to the factory farms that might be in Europe that don't perhaps look after them as well. I'm not saying they.
It's got nothing to do with the fact that you're going to give us another 10%.
Right, we can start negotiating live on air. Yeah, it could be a bit awkward. But yeah, I mean, I think again, I'm not trying to. I think I speak not just for myself, but the whole of the UK, really. You know, because I know behind the scenes the figures that people were throwing at you, and it would have been to a lot of people an easy thing to say yes. We'll have that. Thank you very much. But the whole of the UK, you know, this is the British Breeders Group here, and to say, you know, it's great having him here. And even if he wasn't here, when we were at Addington the other day, and he was showing off, and he was going around at the stallion show there, just to see an Olympic horse, a British horse at that show, double gold medal is just phenomenal. And to obviously having it at our place, it's even better. But we've got another bit of videos, a short video footage, just really his stud duties now, just showing what on a day-to-day. So if you can play that, Rachel, that would be great. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's great to have. We've had so many comments back, you know, Gary and Nick. A lot of them just saying, well, thanking you. Actually, I think it's quite nice to pass them on. Just thanking you really again for leaving you in the UK, and everybody's been following his footsteps all the way through. And obviously, there's been a lot of horses, mares putting foal to him over the years since the Olympics. Sorry, have you got a question?
Yeah, and then really just on the topic of mares, we've got quite a few questions coming in just saying, you know, what type of mare is suited Big Star, you know, and what qualities do you see him passing down onto his progeny?
Well, I mean, if he passes down his qualities to his offsprings. I mean, they should be getting some, well, we should be getting some really good horses, because he has like I said, he ticks every box for me. I think he does throw the foals quite big though. Well, you know more than that about than what I do, because you see them all every day. But I think, yeah, he does throw them quite big. Blood, would you say?
Yes, no, you're right. He does produce quite big foals, and he had a few, you know, because it's one thing having an absolute superstar like that and doing it, but obviously people want to see it off in his young stock, and he covered a few mares when he was quite young, and then he stopped, didn't do any breeding for quite a while, and now he is. And just off those few, we've got Big Star Junior, E Star, J Star. These are all licensed stallions, so it's really good to see all the stock actually now are actually starting to come good. But the majority of his progeny, I think, are about 6 years and younger. Onto that, just the stud terms. People are asking, seeing on how much is he? You know, just say he's £900 a straw or £3,500 for a live foal guarantee. I don't know whether you can remember this, Gary. I put you on the spot there. Maybe you can't, but can you remember why you priced it like that, the £900 a straw? I remember exactly your comment back to me. Maybe you can't.
No, go on, carry on. I can't remember. Perhaps Nick wants to ask him, Martin.
And again, I'm not just trying to bully you. I remember you saying you want to, yes, the live foal's 3.5, but the £900, you said you wanted to give everybody a chance out there, potentially going to an Olympic horse. You know, the person down the road who couldn't afford the 3,000 or 4,000, you know, they can have a go with a £900 straw, and that's what you wanted to reach out to. You might have forgotten that, but I remember.
No, I do remember that now. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that was.
And you know, and his semen works well. You know, maybe a bit. I always say a bit too well. I don't know whether I should be saying this to you, but anyway, 80% of his mares with, you know, quite often with frozen get in foal, which is a great attribute to, you know, his semen works so well. You know, so a lot of people out there are getting offspring for £900, which you might say, but it's really a testament. You know, his semen works very, very well, and we've exported it to about 21 different countries. I've got to give one little shout out, Evie Jarvis. I'm afraid she's a big fan of yours, Nick, and she's wanting to get a signed autograph of one, but she's our agent in Australia, and she's sold obviously a lot of semen out there. So she stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch this.
Thank you very much. That's very appreciated.
Yeah, she's done a great job out there. So the beauty about obviously what we can do is we can spread his genetics all over the world, and I think that's great nowadays. The world's a smaller place, and we can actually do it. So just moving on his offspring, you've got quite a few of his offspring yourself, both of you, haven't you? And how are you seeing them progress, and how are they getting on?
Well, our oldest one's only 5, isn't it? You haven't got any. Yeah, he's only 5, and so she's here now, and genuinely, we're very excited with her. The others are all 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds that are only just being broken. I think you have to remember that people judge him or judge the other great stallions by all their protege. You know, he covered a few mares when he was a 4-year-old, but of course he wasn't any known quantity at all then. And we purposely took the view not to put him at stud for the next 8 years of his life. I remember speaking to Ludger Beerbaum once and saying, look, should we, shouldn't we? And he sat down with me at a show and said, look, Gary, let me tell you now, half the stallions I rode were as good afterwards, and half were never as good afterwards once they started covering mares. And we decided then that, well, that's it, you know, we're not in it for the money as such, we're in it to try and win the trophies and the big events. So that's why you've got this big gap with him compared to all the other ones. That's why he's not on the top 50 stallions list and whatever. He's only just started doing his job.
But what I think is so exciting about it, and you're right, and it's down to percentages, he didn't cover a lot, but already from those ones going back years ago, he's got 5 licensed sons, which is just, you know, to me, is phenomenal. And in his stock, we've seen it all over, you know, the stock seems to be selling very well, you know, and, you know, we've just got this video footage from Bolesworth foal auction. I think it's quite a few years ago now. Can you play that one, Rachel? This is the highest priced foal ever, sport horse foal ever sold in the UK. I think Nick, you were there that night. I think, weren't we?
I was, yeah.
It's by Tinker's Serenade. This foal. Out of Tinker's Serenade by offspring.
56, 56, 58, 58, 68, and 70, and 70, 72 times. 72, 74, 76, 76,
very well, but
76,
this is where it's going up.
76,000. How many more? 92. It's gonna go.
Glad you said that, Tullis. But I agree.
Yeah, I'm getting it over there now. But yeah, that was quite a auspicious night. I mean, that just shows, you know, obviously progenies, everything. You know, you get a good mare and a good stallion, and it just shows. But it's not just that. You know, the one at the Schockermoeller auction fetched 60,000 out of a Chaco Blue mare, and another one at 24,000 out of Skelton mare. So,
We have a fabulous 2-year-old out of Spirit T, which was Jessica Mendoza's reserve Olympic horse for Rio, by Big Star. He looks absolutely fabulous. So that's one we're excited by.
Yeah. And so just on the Bolesworth thing, have you just were Rachel, have you got the Bolesworth logo to put on there? This is just going back to Bolesworth. Obviously, Bolesworth, with the current situation, is not on, but the Bolesworth Elite Auction is on, and that's going to go online, and that's going to be on the 26th of June to the 30th of June. The bidding starts on the 26th and closes on the 30th of June. There's 25 lots, and there's 2 confirmed lots from big stars going in there. One called Omega Star, and one called Original Star. One's a colt and one's a filly. So please put this in your diary. It's going to be online, and I think, you know, as every year, Nina seems to vet these horses and get really some of the best horses there, really to sell on this online auction. So I think that's definitely one for the watch for the diary. So, you know, we're coming to sort of the end now, and is there any more?
Yeah, there's quite a few. We've got a question from somebody asking how you start off your youngsters, Nick.
I mean, obviously we do a lot of like poles on the ground, grid work. We send them off. Gary has them, or the ones we've had that Gary has them at home. He bred them, and he sends them to my brother. He breaks them. He does a really good job, and then we get them. And then, like I say, we do a lot of poles on the ground, grid work, trot poles, cross poles, canter poles, and just, you know, generally bring along, especially work them with the older horses. And, you know, they sort of follow on with the older horses. And we haven't really ever had a problem with any of them, really.
Mm-hmm. And we've also got another question asking, what's next for you, Nick?
What's next?
Yeah, the big question.
Well, I mean, we're very busy here. We have a lot of horses at home, a lot of students, and we're just waiting for the shows to start again, and then we'll be back on the circuit and trying to improve some of these young horses, and hopefully we'll get some more, you know, the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds from Big Star, and see if we can produce another one. That would be the aim, and it would be great to get a really, you know, to breed a good one from him and make an international horse out of it.
And we've got so many questions. I appreciate you will have your tea at some point. Is the
well, there's one person saying they'd love to see you and Gary on Gogglebox. They're very much watching you tonight.
I thought it was better on the two Ronnies.
So just closing off now, and we've had a huge audience, and hopefully, we could really do with your feedback from everybody tonight. Last time we got lots of feedback, and that really spurs on to do what's next. And so just don't forget, next week and tune in, we can actually see Billy Toomey live, and he's going to go through some of the stallions he's ridden: Jatem for Manco, Shapbuck, and Louis Dam. And then we've got several other stallions we're going to set, Ashdale Legend, Win-Win, Magic Quality, and Big Star as well. The following week, we've got Oliver Townsend and Nina Barber talking about the show as well. And we mustn't forget, and I forgot it, there's one lucky person who's going to win a straw tonight who participated. We will let the winner know in the next couple of days. So one of you can have a gold medal winning some team from Big Star. I've really got to thank you, Gary and Nick. I was a little bit nervous tonight how it's all going to go, but I feel it's, the response we got has been absolutely brilliant. And, this has all come together really. It's 3 people in this team, both of you, but obviously this great chat. And we're so privileged and honoured to have him. We don't take it for granted, I promise you, for one day having this stallion here. It is such an honour. And he is one of the easiest horses we have. It's great to collect from and everything else. So we really do appreciate it. A big thank you to Spillers. Without them sponsoring tonight and putting this on, we couldn't have run it. Obviously cost a bit of money, and they've obviously put that in, so that's been fantastic. Also, the Horse Trust tonight. Please, you're going to get an email after this. We do ask you if you can do a small or even a large donation to them. They really need, especially in these times now, when times are tight. The Horse Trust looks after rescued horses and ponies really, and they rely on people's money to do this. I couldn't have done this without our team. There's EJ here. I think we've got to pan round a little bit. We've got Kate and Faye, who stayed up here late, really to ask them the questions and helping out put this on. So a big thank you. Without our team, I just couldn't have put this on. And also, lastly, a big thank you to British Breeding. Rachel, Eva, and Jane behind the scenes, putting those videos on. They did it all yesterday and today. I was absolutely amazed how quickly they sort of collated all those videos and put them all together. So without them, we this wouldn't have really been able to take place, or would have been much more difficult. So,
Charlie, should everyone try and see those dodgy shorts before?
As always, Big Star did this last time. He actually got everything out at the same time. You like? I think I better just stand here. He likes to show off front of the camera. He's done it to see me.
He was always known as a big boy.
But a big thank you to everybody, and and we'll look forward to seeing a week's time, a week on Thursday. Take care and many thanks.
That's funny.